Yo, what's good, everybody? I know it's been a few days. I'm trying to get back into the rhythm of things. I apologize. But when you get stories that are like this, that are just this aggressive, it's just like, my gosh, man. Of course, I can't even tell if I'm good. Okay. So you see up on the screen, right? Benny Johnson, graphic video, four children stabbed on a playground in France. The assailant is a Syrian asylum seeker, which he says, aka terrorist. Now, he goes on to break apart how there's five guys in this video who you can spot out. Only one of them even attempts to stop this guy from stabbing them. And there's multiple things on this. One, let me just scroll down here. This video's been deleted. Well, why is that? Why is that news? Well, it's like, well, one, like this is Twitter's a place you can go and you can get hardcore porn put in your timeline with no content warning whatsoever. But a video of a man just walking around with a knife, I mean, you can't even really see anything. I already seen some of it this morning. It gets deleted. Why? Just like literally just why? And to make it even worse, there's all these arguments happening about the religion behind the guy, you know, and supposedly he was carrying a crucifix, he had a cross with him, so he was a Christian, and obviously people are going after people of Islam, the faith, Muslims, all of that stuff. And it's just all around, it's just like, my first thing is, what kind of psychopath do you have to be to stab children? And I'll take it, we'll go a little bit further. These were toddlers. Like the oldest one outside of the adults that got hurt was like 3 years. Like a 22-month-old was one of the kids who got stabbed. In this video, there's multiple times where he makes the attempt to go around the mother to keep trying to stab an individual. It's insanity. It's and it's crazy to think that the video's already been bopped off of Twitter. I go and I check it right after I get back from the gym. Right, obviously you see me in my disgusting fit, whatever. The video's been deleted. Now, if I scroll a little bit further down, there is the video is on here. Someone responded with a clip of the video inside here, and I think they changed the music or the background or something, so it's not been picked up yet or content ID'd. I'm willing to go shove it and get a strike. I'm not concerned. I'm really not. So if you're ready for it, we'll make our way down here. Obviously in these comments, read to this. Another reason to protect the Second Amendment here in the United States. I mean, yeah, it's disappointing to think that the only thing that the guy could do was swing a backpack. He ran in there with his backpack and was just chucking it around. I mean, I get that's something, but man, like every single guy, I saw this tweet, it was like, it's insane that there are so few men who are capable of decisive, quick violence. You know, like where was the guy who came bolting out of screen, flying in and tackling the guy with no regard for his own self because he sees this guy's terrorizing these people. And then just throughout the video, it's chilling to see this mother get terrorized in the way that she is. I mean, she's just like in the park, like freaking out because the guy's just running around her, trying to stabbing her kids. Like it's a horror movie. It literally is a scene from a horror movie. And then in this video, there's a guy going down the slide. Let me go back up to this. What does he say? Yeah. Run away. Guy 1, run away. Guy 2, hide on the playground. Guy 3, swing a backpack, run away. Benny Johnson says run away, but I'm pretty sure the guy like made multiple attempts coming in and out with a backpack. I mean, if anything, guy 3 is the only one who deserves any amount of like, thank you, sir. Like you at least tried. Guy 4 jogs by, does not stop. Guy 5 films it all. Obviously, someone's got to record the whole thing. Why protect those people when you can get it on camera? It's crazy stuff. But we're going to slowly make our way down here. I saw the video in here. It's not the full thing, obviously. I think the full thing that people have been sharing is like 4.5 minutes long. The one down here is only got about 1.5 minutes. I'm about to show you here. But you just read these, right? Like just for your information, a month ago, I don't care about that. But yes, we need the Second Amendment because you see all these people trying to defend themselves from a stabbing with a knife. What are they going to do? Guys throwing a backpack. That's your defense weapon. It's like one of those stupid arguments where they're like, whatever you have whatever's on your left-hand side, that's your fight in a death match. It's like, well, that's what they're doing in the UK, bro, because they don't have ability to have weapons or weapons that would be meaningful to have to equalize the situation, like a gun. A knife is no good if the guy you're fighting is 6'9", pushing 300 pounds. Like, good luck. I mean, the knife may do something. You may kill him, like, after he's murdered you and he bleeds out because you got him a good time. Like, but Okay, let's get it down here because I saw this thing. Yeah, okay, yeah. See, one of these videos of this guy riding a slide, which, like, I'd love to have access to the video so I could see that part. I must have missed that. But, like, imagine you're a grown man and you go down a slide to get away from a guy who's stabbing children. There literally couldn't be a more feminized, cucked thing I could put in one sentence. And it's funny because this tweet, how it reads it is, there was one brave man amidst all these cowards. One man who dared to risk it all despite his insecurities. Nigel bravely struck down his inner demons, embraced his inner child, and fearlessly swung his adult body down the slide. You're a hero, Nigel. Let me go down here. I know it was down here. Here it is. Okay, I want to make sure the audio is good before I play that. Actually, my headphones are not attached, and I want to blow your eardrums out because it's not going to affect me. It's going to affect you. Give me 1 second here. Pop it in. All right. And then YouTube, take it down if you want. I don't really care. Let's see. Let's show people what happened. Okay, we got that on screen. We see it. Okay. Let's sound down a bit because I don't know how loud it'll be. Yeah, they changed the background music. You can hear that ambient stuff. Like, people just screaming. Right, he's holding the knife. Okay, I'm gonna pause it here. This lady, I'm telling you, if you watch the whole video, she literally just is going in circles around the playground, like screaming exactly how you just heard that. Now, what I don't want to show, because I think this is the exact scene, is he makes his way around her. Like, she tries to, like, dance with him for a second. He goes around her to stab the kid in the carriage or the stroller thingy. And it's just like, dude, it's so dark, man. That's actually not, I want to see this. Here's the backpack guy. Okay. Choose your weapon, warrior. Like, dude, the guy, I think he gets him one good time right there. Maybe not, though. Maybe across the arm. Well, two, okay. How do you have a backpack, but you're wearing a backpack? Like, where were you going that day, sir? Okay, he's like antagonizing him. He does chase him. This is what I'm saying. Like, Benny Johnson said he ran away. But from when I watched the video, it seemed like this dude just kept chasing him around. Now, right here, he leaps back into the playground. Yeah, okay, this is exactly where it is. I do not want to show you this because I probably will get a strike about it. What he ends up doing, I probably get right up to the moment of re-up. So he's trying to get his way around this lady here. Look at, he's like jumping. He's just trying to gain distance to get around her. So she uses her body. And I think he's going to go for, he's trying to get around her. What you can't see is behind that metal shed thingy or whatever that is the stroller with the child. I think it's a boy. I think that's a 22-month-old. I'll stop it there because I don't want to get the strike. He leaps over her to stab him, I think, twice. Now, I will say at this point, that the backpack man should have thrown the back. He should have been over there at this point. I mean, like, full speed, like, Superman diving, like, into this guy, you know? And it's wild because I talk with my friends a lot about stuff like this because, you know, I'm getting older. We're getting married. We have wives. We have things that we protect, children. And we often have these discussions about, do you like, because sometimes I'll daydream or like I'll realize I'm sitting here and randomly just thinking like, what if this guy decides to do this? Like, you know, like I'm kind of already pre-processing some of that stuff when I'm out in public, out and about, because I want to be ready in case something like this happens. Now, say take it maybe 5 years ago, I wasn't doing it nearly as much, but when I'm inundated, I would imagine you as well are getting the non-stop, just like violence here in this city, violence here in that city, random restaurant, guy homeless guy shoots other homeless guy, like stabbing in San Fran. I get that it may not be in your city, but when everyone watches these videos, they sit there and they just feel the panic and the dread that is being displayed in such video because they realize how quickly something like that can develop in front of them or happen to them. And then I guess for me, I'm in the stance of, I would imagine I pray to God that I'm not lying when I say this, but I would be one of the first people who would just put myself in front of that. And I talk to my friends about it too. So when it's wild to me that when I do see these videos, we don't see, we're like, why is it one guy with a backpack? That's all we're gonna get. That's our hero, is backpack guy. And it's like, who am I to say? Who am I to judge? I mean, at least he tried. I'll take that over everyone just screaming and running away. But these other guys who just took off, I mean, like, who's standing in this treehouse right now? Right? Like, how are you not doing your best attempt to karate kick and Bruce Lee this guy from that treehouse? You know what? What really is there? Like, if the people who are older or in the community aren't willing to protect the youth, aren't willing to protect those who can't defend themselves, that is at the point where we have crossed the bounds of the society will crumble as a whole. And people have been saying it a lot, like these keyboard warriors, all these people just recording. This was like a full out, like in public at a playground with children surrounded by adults. And 1 out of 20 people did something. Now, obviously, the cops got there and took care of the suspect. And I believe that everyone's in critical condition. No one has actually passed away as far as my knowledge now. I will note that the Daily Mail article I read earlier did state that the mother, which I'm not sure if it's this mother, I think there were 2 adults who were struck. One of the adults is in critical condition fighting for their lives, and 2 of the children are in critical condition fighting for their lives. That is from the Daily Mail. Hopefully they didn't stealth edit it and change that and something happened to them. I mean, I'm praying for them. I will pray for them. I'm thinking about them. This has been on my mind since I saw it this morning. I mean, I'm in the gym just like sitting there getting angry because I'm like, dude, like, why does this stuff happen? How do you even get to the point where your mentality is, I'm going to stab little kids? I struggle to understand how someone can get to that point. Because for me, I can understand how somebody gets to the point of self-harm, right? Like, it's the epitome of owning your failures in the worst way. It's instead of ultimately accepting that you have done wrong and that you're going to build from that, you accept that you've done wrong and you choose to self-delete, right? It's like the negative conclusion and resolve to an answer to that means. Now, what I don't understand is this. Like, this is terrorism. This is that's a terrorist right there. That is, you are in a public park chasing mothers and children around with a knife. There's no, if that's not terrorism, I don't like what is. And I don't know. I'm not black-pilled about these things, but I think it's just more of a realization of, like, when you think people have your back, or you think you're with a group of people who, like, got your back, like, be sure, man. Like, be extra, especially sure. Because what happens if they just run on you, right? What if you're the first person to get slashed, but when you're turning around, your friends are already 10 feet away. They're gone. That's stuff to be worried about, man. And I think as a man, part of your duty is to vet your friends. Ensure that the people you have around, the people you love and care about, are people you want to be. Or are the people you want them to be, is a better way to say that. I just want to skip past that because I know what happens there. But it's just like, he's just running around, still with that knife. Now at this point, I get it. But see, here's the backpack guy again. That's why I'm like, I don't even know if Benny Johnson watched the whole video. But he's just kind of antagonizing him, right? Like, this is kind of like low level. Like, he didn't even actually attempt to subdue the guy. He's just kind of like just buying time until somebody else comes and helps him, which is fair, right? Maybe the guy made the assessment that like he's not going to be strong enough. And then imagine that lady's just jogging. Her headphones are on so loud. She's like da 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 da. She has no idea what's going on. Literally none. And if she did, like, man, what crazy amount of ignorance are you just gonna keep running like nothing happened? But what is she gonna do, right? You know. But I guess if the kids are being attacked, wouldn't that call the woman into arms too? Wouldn't you expect them? Maybe not. Like this is crazy, man. It just seems fake because it's like there's feels like there's no urgency, and it's just like why? What caused you to do this? I can only think like if you were on like some kind of insane extremist, that it was something about like the skin color or it was like something religious. But again, conflicting reports on the religion stuff. People are saying like Syrian refugee, Muslim, but then I've also seen reports that he was clutching a crucifix in his other hand the whole time, or he was wearing one, and he actually said like for Jesus Christ in the name. Like, who knows? I'm not even going to be concerned myself about that stuff. But then you take it to Twitter, and that's what people are mad about. People are like, stop using this as a way to, and it's like, man, dude, kids might die from this, and you're worried about what it says about your religion. It's gross, dude. And maybe that's the whole point of this is why things aren't going to get better, man. People would rather argue and divide and self-divide over and over and over again before actually seeing any kind of unifying moment, which is like, we need to man up. And I think that's something that a lot of people can get behind. Women can get behind that, dude. When they see like kind of like how the feminization has turned out when situations like this arise. But I guess at least if you take this side by side, you go in America, Daniel Penny, I mean, he stood up and was like, nah, like you're not going to terrorize people. But then look how they treat him, how our law treats him. It's gross. But enough of this. I would like to see more of this come out. It's just pretty fresh. I think this video, I mean, this original tweet from Benny is like only 5 hours old, 6 hours old. Let me fly back up. From, I guess it was from this morning, so like 9 a.m. So it's a bit older than I thought. So 9, 3, okay, 5.5 hours old. The other thing I wanted to go to, which I thought would be an interesting piece, was Matt Walsh actually engaged with just Pearlythingz. And I thought this was interesting because it was about wives. And he quote tweeted her. I'm just gonna hope that these were his first one, a couple last ones. Yeah, Pearl Davis. This is the first one. Yes, sir. So Pearl Davis goes ahead and tweets, "Let me ask my wife," with a throw up emoji. Now, here's the thing. I agree and disagree with both of them at the same exact time. Because you know for a fact, you know that you know men who, when they say that, that is them asking for permission. Now, it's not them consulting, is what Matt's about to say in this tweet. It's them blatantly knowing, like, if they do this, she will take sex off the table, she'll threaten the marriage, she'll take the kids. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't need to go into it. I can't say that people deny these situations exist. But Pearl, let me ask my wife, throw up emoji. So Matt Walsh quotes it saying, "Not always a bad response from a husband. For instance, if you ask me what we're doing this weekend, this will nearly always be my answer. And same with me. If you ask me what am we doing this weekend, my first thought is not to ask my wife for permission. It is, she knows our schedule better than I do. And she's just a better organized person." But Matt Walsh breaks it down. Let me continue. "And then when I ask her, she'll tell me that we have a thing at 2:00 on Saturday and another thing on Sunday, and that she already told me about both things 4 times. Now that cracked me up because that's literally like, that's my relationship with my wife. I'm pretty sure every marriage in history has worked this way. Now, I may be forgetful, right? but it's because I'm focused on the work things, the money things, the job stuff, where she's much more focused on the social orientation. And that's where our partnership is fruitful, in the fact that she's worried about those aspects. I'm worried about mine. We come together, we communicate, and as a partnership, we're like, okay, this is what we're doing together. This is what we're doing as a couple. This is what we're doing as one. We are one. And that is how marriage is supposed to work. And so Matt Walsh goes and continues on the thread. Of course, you also need to ask your wife anytime you can't find anything around the house. She'll say it's in the closet by the stairs. And you'll say, I checked and it's not there. And she'll go and look herself and find it in 3 seconds. Again, I have never known of a marriage that doesn't work this way. It's a law of the universe. And I'm saying this is exactly the dynamic that I have with my wife. And it works for us. And it worked for my parents. My dad is one of the hardest workers I've ever met in my entire life, but he could not tell you what we were doing Sunday at 3:30 p.m. He just didn't roll like that. He wasn't like that. He wasn't, he's the guy who's on his phone like while something's happening on the news, and his head's on a completely different place. And it's just how women and men are designed a little bit differently. There are strengths and weaknesses to this. And that's what he's pointing out here, And even Ian Miles Chong chimes in, women are just better at planning. But he follows this up with another one because Pearl, I think, continues to subtweet him. Or no, she quote tweeted him. There's a difference between asking your wife what the schedule is versus asking your wife's permission. Agreed. A boss would never ask his secretary for permission to go to X and Y. Why do modern women submit to their bosses and not their husbands? Now here I will say is a little bit disingenuous because nothing that Matt Walsh said had anything to do with the boss talking about that. Matt Walsh was specifically talking about his own marriage and how he believes most marriages work on a bell curve on average. And so I think this is where Pearl gets those whole the negative flack for being what are you talking how are you going to take it to that tangent? Maybe it's very clickbaity almost. But he quotes this, and I love Matt. Matt's beautiful with a lot of the words that he says. And harsh too, but I like what he says for the most part. Sure, I wouldn't ask for my wife's permission, like I'm some kind of child. But I do consult with her, about many things. I trust her judgment and insight. I think when a man says, let me ask my wife, often he's referring to consultation, not permission. Now, when he says often, I think I disagree with that. I think it's probably about 50-50. I think I think a lot of marriages, that's exactly the case. And I think for a lot of marriages, what Pearl is saying is exactly the case. And what are the numbers there to decide? Do we have a metric that's how cucked is your marriage? How cucked are you as a husband? I don't know. Obviously there's a major one that you can have. And I apologize. I don't even have the YouTube chat pulled up. I probably should. Hey, no, I appreciate you. Yeah, everything's well. Kukla, everything's going well over here. Just trying to get stuff situated and be scheduled in and have a much more coherent schedule. And yes, I thought she did pretty well on Tim's show. She kind of took it into the relationship direction, and then they held it there for a while, which I thought was funny because at the beginning of Tim Pool's episode, they're like, we're going to talk about Ukraine and all this, and you got plenty to say about that, right, Pearl? And she laughs because obviously she didn't. But they did, and on that Timcast episode, they get into the aspects of that New York Post article that was trying to flame the Whatever podcast. Man, Tyler's in here. When did Tyler get in here? What's up, brother? I appreciate you, man, for dropping in. But when she goes on to Tim Pool's show, they bring up the New York Post article that specifically is targeting the Whatever podcast, and then framing it in the narrative of which he just runs this podcast to talk all this BS about women. And that argument fails on multiple fronts. Here's why. Tim's very own Mary Morgan, I believe is her name, is on that show as a female who is on the side of Atlas. Well, I won't say on the side of Atlas, but is on that side of the table, who is opposing the ideas being espoused by most of the women that they bring on, who are a little bit more lefty, the OnlyFans girls. And I see it all the time. I mean, I think Brittany Venti is also another individual who constantly brings up this material. Brittany Venti will go on and on about how these podcasts like cherry pick these women. And so it's like, okay, so you have the Whatever podcast, Just Pearlythingz, you have Fresh and Fit, and just, I mean, there's how many more of them? Can you even name? Or like, what's the other ones that like aren't like that? Like the Jubilee and the Button and things like that. And the mental gymnastics that you have to walk through, just tell other people that they are every single woman in those instances are cherry picked. It's like, you got it. Okay, come on, man. Like how hard is it to say that the majority of women are left leaning and thus embrace a lot more of this independent feminist ideology? That's not a hard thing to say, but it's easier to flame the Whatever podcast for the mission that he's got when he's one of the most like unegotistical, neutral people on the platform. I mean, the guy's almost like as vanilla as Asmongold on some of these takes. And again, it just shows the disingenuousness of the media. And then the New York Post, of all places, the publication that got censored for the Hunter Biden laptop story, is then going to be the one who tries to shame Brian Atlas and the Whatever podcast. And it's funny because the one issue that Pearl was like, they're going to target his show and not mine. She was like, I think I'm more aggressive than he is. And I would agree with that. I think Pearl like antagonizes him a bit more. Like Brian occasionally would be like, well, I mean, come on, or put like a hat on. But Brian's not one to get angry or yell. Pearlythingz will actually like go back and forth, combative, like be a bit more catty when it comes to the girls she has on the show. And it just, again, is like, why is there such an unwillingness to just say like, yeah, dude, like most women believe this way, but the way most men are structured to believe and feel is not this way. And it's just crazy stuff. But those are the two major things that I did have that I wanted to go through. I was going to keep this stream short. If you want to check me out a little bit later, I'm probably going to be streaming later on tonight when I'm doing, I'll be doing like OSRS and I'll catch back up on the news some. I just heard a bang on the door behind me and I don't know if it's the cats or if someone's in my house. So I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. I appreciate everyone for coming in and stopping by. Let's hope that there's not a Syrian refugee with a knife in my house, but otherwise I'll probably be pretty good. Again, thank you for stopping in, Tyler. Kukla, I appreciate seeing you on the live streams all the time. Love seeing you guys come in here. I am doing my best to try to get more actively into it. I know I had like a 9-10 day gap with no content, so I apologize. I lost a few subscribers because I was not being as professional as I could be. But now that I got the schedule set, money's coming in through the remote job too, and then I got everything tightened down. I ended up quitting the second job I took on because it just wasn't worth it to have all that time being put out, and then I couldn't stick to YouTube as much as I wanted to, and it just kind of dragged me down a little bit like that. But I gotta get a better way to put this up. Who was saying, I just feel she's posturing behind her family's money, hasn't lived life, and isn't truly what she proposes to be. So here's my thing, is like I will say this, I do not know enough about her background to make a firm statement about that. I do know references from like The Quartering with Jeremy, that he often brings up that she has this insane background of money and is like very what's the word? It seems very disingenuous given like previous positions that she's had. Now I will say I'm somebody who hasn't like looked into her background, but at the same time I also don't like the fact that we use somebody's background as a way to determine like how much they truly care about something, because people can change. You know, I mean, obviously, like, not everybody can change, and it's probably in the minority that if even people that do change, but it's possible. And maybe she had some kind of catalytic event that, like, turned her lights on like that. I think the same happens to Ollie London TV. people are like, this must be a psyop, this must be fake, because people just simply can't believe that Ollie London would change your beliefs like that. I mean, full-blown leftist was doing Korean face, with all this plastic surgery, and then all of a sudden is like extremely anti-woke. Now, I do agree, like, that's like out of nowhere, but if you're asking me, it's like maybe this individual just had intellect and realized they were wrong. I don't think that's hard to believe. I think it's harder to believe, not harder to believe. I think it's harder and harder and harder for people to come to those conclusions because there are so many built-in echo chambers with how algorithms wrap up content and keep people informed in specific styles. But maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe she's completely posturing, and this is a whole kind of ordeal to get clicks for her to appeal to men in some way. I've seen the argument too, where it's like she knows that she's not that attractive, so she has to find a way to make herself a high value woman, yada yada yada. And maybe that's true, but I also don't like attacking somebody for how they look, unless it's somebody who's putting themselves out in the open, doing ignorant stuff. But maybe you're right, and maybe that she is a complete liar, and she's just trying to poison the minds of men and ruin the world one day at a time with her videos. But I think she does make good points. The same way with like how Andrew Tate, just like, maybe it's not every point, but he does make some like commonsensical, like hard to disagree with, just facts of life type statements where you're like, yeah. You don't have to like the person as the individual they are, but you can also agree that the message they bring, and that's always, I think, even in the Bible it teaches, don't attack the messenger. The message is what's the most important. The conveyment of the message, does it truly mean something? But it's probably not somebody that's in my house. It's probably my cats trying to rip that door down because they're losing their minds about food that I did not feed them with. But again, I appreciate you all for coming in. I do have the stream end that at the mean tweets designed for me, which is pretty dope. But like I said, I'm going to try to stream a little bit later on if I get caught up on work, put a few hours in, make some dollars for me and my wife, and then catch back up on the news and see what's popping. Or maybe do OSRS and have news pulled up while we're doing that too. Appreciate you guys stopping in. It means a lot to me. Thank you very much. You guys take care, and if I don't see you later on tonight, you guys have a good rest of your day. Peace out.